In our last video, we learned that sexual harassment is conduct of a sexual nature where such conduct negatively affects an individual's employment, interferes with their work performance, or creates a hostile or offensive work environment. We learned that the focus is on how the conduct impacts others, not the intentions of the person saying or doing something that could be considered harassment. With this in mind, let's look at several situations to determine if sexual harassment has been committed. Example number 1. Today is Gerald's first day at Best Day Bakery. A coworker asks Gerald where he worked prior to Best Day. Before he could answer, another coworker yells from across the room, "Look at that body! He was probably a stripper." And everyone started laughing, except Gerald, who felt embarrassed and uncomfortable. Was this a harmless joke or an example of sexual harassment? While the intention of Anthony's comment was to be funny, it left Gerald feeling uncomfortable. The comment was unprofessional and insinuated a sexual connotation. Yes, this is a form of sexual harassment. Example number 2. Arnold, an HR representative, was walking through a warehouse break room. He noticed a calendar of provocatively dressed firefighters in racy poses hanging in the room. When he asked the manager about it, the manager responded, "Someone bought it as part of a fundraiser for first responders. It's been up there for months, and no one has said they were offended by it." Is this calendar sexual harassment? Sexualized images, either shared online or displayed in person, are a form of sexual harassment. Those who have been paying attention may say, "But wait, no one was offended, so how is this unwelcome? Plus, isn't this for a good cause?" While the manager said no one was offended, she has no way of knowing. Because the images are sexual in nature, they are not appropriate for the workplace, and the presumption should be they are unwelcomed and offensive, regardless of whether someone has complained about them. And whether the calendar was bought for a good cause is completely irrelevant. Example number 3. Key executives at an airline are discussing a significant increase to ticket prices. Jill, the VP of Marketing, voices her opinion that consumers will stop flying our airline if they feel we are raping them on ticket prices. Alice, the VP of Purchasing, was a victim of violent sexual assault in her early 20s and felt very uncomfortable with her fellow executive's word choice. Is this sexual harassment? Jill has certainly made a poor word choice. The word represents a horrific act that upends the lives of its victims. By trivializing the word in this context, it implies a lack of support for victims of sexual assault and a lack of understanding how deeply wrong the act is. Whether it is considered harassment may require additional context, such as other sexually charged word choices or actions by Jill or members of her team over a period of time. But regardless if it rises to the level of sexual harassment, it is a word that should not be used by Jill or anyone else. Example number 4. Bella works in a cubicle near her company's water bottle refilling station. Every time Jonathan refills his water bottle, he stops by her desk to say hello. Jonathan, who has been with the company for 20 years, supervises Bella's team. He is married with 2 children and has a 3rd child on the way. Bella, a recent college graduate, just started with the company. She is single but hopes to have a family one day. Jonathan says Bella has a great deal of potential, which, as he tells her, is why he pays more attention to her than other peers. Would any of the following actions be considered sexual harassment? Jonathan sends texts to Bella with office humor memes. These texts include memes sent after regular work hours. Jonathan tells Bella she looks stunning on a day she wore a particularly flattering dress. Another day, Jonathan tells Bella she looks tired today and asks if she went out drinking with some young hot man last night. Jonathan offers to give Bella a ride home from work when he learned her car was in the shop. Jonathan asks Bella if she'd be interested in going out for drinks with him after work sometime, just as colleagues. Jonathan gives Bella a neck massage when he stops by her desk to talk to her. Jonathan invites Bella to a conference with just him, saying they could finally get some alone time. Before we answer any of these, let's discuss one more important concept. This is the concept of power dynamics. Unequal power dynamics are not a necessary component of sexual harassment, but they are often a major contributing factor into what is considered sexual harassment. What specifically about Bella and Jonathan creates an unequal power dynamic? The biggest factor in this situation is that Jonathan supervises Bella. Because of this, any negative interaction could threaten Bella's job security or create the perception that her job security is threatened, even if it is not. Other factors could contribute to an unbalanced power dynamic as well, including their respective tenures with the company. Bella just started, but Jonathan has been there 20 years. This means he has had more time to feel comfortable with coworkers, who may be more prone to take his side if a dispute arose. He also feels more secure about his job and knows the inner workings of the company better. Another factor can be physical features, such as gender or size. Last, and possibly less obvious, harassers can also at times use their family situation to create a power imbalance, especially if their victim is single. They do this by putting pressure on their victim that if they tell, they will ruin their family, hurting their innocent wife and children. Here we pause to note that victims of sexual harassment do not ruin families by reporting harassment. Perpetrators of sexual harassment ruin families by committing it. So, back to our example, was any of Jonathan's conduct sexual harassment? The answer is any of it could be considered sexual harassment, especially when looked at in totality. Jonathan in each action continually puts Bella in a situation where the imbalance of power could negatively impact her job if she fails to respond positively to the attention from Jonathan. In our last and final episode, we're going to look at setting up appropriate boundaries in the workplace to prevent harassment. As a reminder, if you have experienced harassment, or if you're not sure, please reach out to a member of our HR team. Thank you.